Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's time for our weekly Q&A. This week it is a pre-recorded one, and we've got lots of questions here from our patrons and YouTube channel members, all of which help support the channel. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month. You get extra access to bits and pieces. You get to normally take part in the Q&A. But yeah, let's jump into this. We've got lots of questions here. So let's start off with Daniel's, where he said, with all the episodes of season 2 of Big Shot being released on October the 12th, is this a sign that it might be cancelled like what happened with Diary of a Future President? It makes me worry. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did have the exact same feeling with Disney dropping this entire second season at once. It kind of, it is a little bit worrying that this is the case, because generally with the live action stuff, we don't tend to see this one here. Whether or not they're doing this as an experiment, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'm very much doubtful that this series is going to get picked up for a third one. Also, it took a long time to get that first series made, with the pandemic and everything. And obviously, the girls that are in it, they're all getting older as well. And, they aren't at college maybe, and they got other jobs and stuff to do because, they're all very talented. And probably it's time for them to move on because it's been happening for years with this show. I'm really looking forward to the second season. I love the show. Definitely one of my highlights of last year. Kind of an unexpected show. I wasn't expecting something with basketball to be so good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. But yeah, I totally do kind of see what you mean with Big Shot potentially being, that might be their final shot. Khaled said, I read somewhere that Star Studios' Brahmastra will be streaming on Hulu in the US after its theatrical run. Could you also see it on release on Disney Plus internationally? Yeah, so what happened was Rebecca Campbell, who is in charge of the international division of Disney, did say in a recent interview, and I think it was like Times or something like that, that was the plan, that they were going to release it on Hulu in the United States and on Disney Plus around the world. Yeah, I think that's a good move, and I think we're definitely going to start seeing probably a little bit more hot Star content dropping onto Disney Plus around the world, and just more from Star Studios. They might as well. So Tom says, what other book series do you think Disney might make into Disney Plus shows? Well, this is the interesting thing. Disney obviously have their Disney, they have a massive publishing business, so there's a lot of stuff that's made there, so they can in some ways get like first look, and they can obviously got direct contact with authors, plus they're bidding for extra stuff. As far as like what book series, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge book reader. I only tend to read books when I'm on vacation, and generally most of them involve Star Wars books. Those are I don't tend to go out and read too much stuff, so I couldn't tell you what it is. I can tell you the Star Wars books I'd like to see turned into series, but that's a different thing. But yeah, so like I said, I don't tend to read too much other than on vacation, which is why I've got some Star Wars books for this week. Bubba says, did you see that WWE is pulling the WWE content off of Hulu on Saturday? So obviously when this Q&A goes up, we'll either find out whether or not it's gone or they've renewed it. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it does go, but obviously future proofing, I don't know quite what's going to be going on with this one, so it's going to be a little bit weird. Babak says Disney Plus has live voting for Dancing with the Stars, which opens up a new aspect that has yet to be done on Disney Plus. What other type of live interactions could Disney bring out? I always think like live voting is good, maybe for like award ceremonies, doing things like that. That's kind of seems like a natural progression, something like the MTV Movie Awards. If you can get people to vote right there and then. So I think that's where they could go with the voting kind of things. I mean, you can kind of do like talent shows. You could do that a little bit easier as well. They did something like Americans Got Talent or Pop Idol or something like that. They could do something like that and incorporate live content that way. With regards to other live content, maybe they could start putting on like Good Morning America or something like that onto Disney Plus. That could be quite interesting. Babak says, why hasn't Disney Plus added the previous version or previous seasons of Dancing with the Stars? Now, I think this is probably a couple of reasons. Probably the big one is music. They might not have the music rights to put them on there for that amount of time. If you're talking like music is very different with like licensing and stuff. It's very tricky. So that would be my guess. Also, how long they've been available. I mean, the quality. I mean, if you're going back like 10 15 years, was the quality up to scratch? But I suspect majority of this is due with music rights. That's probably that'd be where my guess comes in. Kelly also says, I noticed that when I pause a video on Disney Plus, it doesn't show the timestamp unless I use the up arrow on my Roku remote. I know Disney did some updates on the OS on Disney Plus. Funny you mentioned this. Last night we were watching the Kardashians, and press pause to see how long was left, and yeah, it didn't say. So that's a bit of annoying. I like it when you press pause and it tells you how long's left. Yeah, it does seem like they've been tweaking around with uh, the they're constantly tweaking it, but yes, it does look like they've done something. Hopefully, they put that one back. Lady Jennifer Snow said, I watched Dancing with the Stars for the first time in a long time, and I thought the transition to streaming went well, and surprised how much it feels like a streaming show. If this movie is successful, do you see Disney will move more reality and drama and comedy shows off of ABC and onto Disney Plus? And what shows do you think they could make the move? Now, I feel like, because I unfortunately didn't get to watch it because it's in the US. I do feel like, I mean, essentially, by the looks of it, it sounds like they just ended up copying like the BBC version where we don't have ads, so they kind of did the same thing. Um, yeah, I feel just in general, this was very much a move of they moved it away from ABC because they got the football rights and they didn't want to end there too, and they didn't want to move the nights. If it doesn't work on Disney Plus, I think the show will end up probably not returning. This is kind of a big move. I think this is also a big shift to try and get more people over onto Disney Plus from adults' point of view. I still think we need more general entertainment, but this is kind of the first step. I think just in general, if they can get more of those ABC shows just on Disney Plus as a whole, I mean all of them. I mean, we're talking here like Grey's Anatomy, Big Sky, those would be great. But also if they could get some of the daytime shows and stuff on there, and Good Morning America, and they just need more content on there, and everything should be okay, good to go. So Tom says, do you think they'll put ads down the side of Disney Plus home screen like a lot of websites do, or will they just keep it to the video player? I would imagine we're going to see mainly just within the video player. We might start seeing shows maybe sponsored by a company. We are going to see like a tab of ads for like merchandise. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see an ad inside the app, but we could do. I mean, but I think we're generally more likely just going to be in video ads. I think would be how I would see it. Tom also says, also, how long will the ads be for the ad tier? Will it depend on the length of the film or the episode you're watching? So the minute they have said there's going to be 4 minutes of adverts every hour on the ad tier. So it's not too much as compared to like traditional like television, which is probably close to like 15 to 20 minutes. Dana says, just finished watching Only Murders in the Building last week. Loved it and got my daughter to start watching it from the start of season 1. How many more seasons do you think they'll do? So they're making season 3. I think the big problem with this one really is how much can Martin Short and Steve Martin go on. Obviously, they are much older. I think they're like in their late 70s, early 80s. That's going to be the restriction, really, is how much longer they can go. Personally, I would rather they went out on top, and maybe if season 3 hopefully might be the last. I love the show. I think it's really good. I love the chemistry between them all. But you've also got to be realistic with, with those people involved. And I also wouldn't like it to carry on with just 2 of them, or one of them. It has to be all 3 or none of them. That's the way I look at that one. Tom says, personally, I think that Sony and Paramount are on the last thread. Soon they will both end up being sold or merged with another company. But if this happens, Sony, due to the contracts, the Spider-Man films will revert back to Marvel. This is why I believe Disney are currently not planning on buying the rights for Sony, especially since Sony wants 5 to 10 billion for the rights. I don't know. I mean, I think Sony have seemed to have kind of got a good grasp right now of becoming an arms dealer and just making content for everyone. Stuff is up for sale, but there's a lot of stuff up for sale at the minute. Paramount could be up for sale, Warner Brothers Discovery, you got Lionsgate, you got Stars. There's a lot of stuff up for sale. I don't know if Sony is quite at the top of the league, but obviously if they do get sold, then they do lose the Marvel rights for new movies, but it doesn't necessarily mean they lose the old ones. But I think Sony seem to be in a good place right now. Tom says, what Marvel or Star Wars shows and films are you most excited for? Well, we know we're not excited for Star Wars films because we've got nothing coming up on that one. At the D23 Expo, I did get to see some footage from the Marvels, which looks really fun. And Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania just looks nuts. So I'm looking forward to that one a lot. From next year. I'm trying to think. Wow, so I think some of the stuff that they showed off, Loki season 2 looks good. I'm also really looking forward to Secret Invasion. I always liked the comic book series, so I'm going to be interested to see how that one works. But yeah, and Ahsoka. Ahsoka's definitely one. And Skeleton Crew, yeah, that could be fun as well. Dana says, I know we've kind of talked about this several times, but why do you think Disney hasn't broken down Star and made more brand titles already? For me, an ESPN, FX, 20th Century Studios, or Walt Disney Studios, television studios, including Freeform, so that all the television shows are not under another brand title, and Hotstar. Then Star can be for international and lease shows from stuff like Sony. That would be a total of 10 brand titles. Right, the main thing I think we're waiting for the United States. I think once the US opens up to general entertainment and they open up those tabs and make more home things, that's when we're going to see it. We're not going to see any change until they do it. And I agree with you. FX, 20th Century, ESPN, maybe an ABC or a general branded television one might be there. I think there might be 12. I think we need Star, definitely. I think that we need a catch-all area to just chuck everything in that doesn't work, all the international originals. They need somewhere to go. So I think Star could be staying around. So 10 to 12, I don't think we'll go much beyond that on there. There might be a Searchlight Pictures or something like that, but they might be able to pop that into the 20th Century one. But yeah, I honestly think it's just down to when the US does it, that's when they're going to do it. That's for me. And final question, Citan says, will Disney's upcoming movie Wish mark I can't even say that on there, a definitive return to 2D animation? Will the two major Disney animation units be differentiating movies forward, like Walt Disney Animation Studios with 2D and then Pixar doing 3D? I don't think so. No, I think this is just they're trying something different. I think obviously with the 100th anniversary of Disney, they wanted to incorporate both. I feel in general, kids today are much more pushed towards 3D. I don't think they will go to 2D the same. I think it's just the fact that it's an artistic choice for this particular movie. Well, anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me on this week's Q&A. I'll be back next week with another Q&A, and obviously during the week we'll have some other content going up throughout the week, plus a podcast. But on that note, guys, thank you very much. Thank you to all of our patrons and YouTube channel members for their support, and we shall see you guys in another video. Laters. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.